Well, hello and welcome to another flight sim experience. This one is going to be around the area of Yosemite National Park in America. I'm going to be using a plane I haven't used in a while, to be fair. The Beechcraft Bonanza. It's quite a nice little plane to fly around in. It's got a good fuel capacity and quite a good range and can climb quite high. But it also travels quite slow as well, so we can dive into a few bits and pieces and have a look around. Now we're going to be starting off at Mono Lake, which you can see off to our 11 o'clock and directly in front of us as well. Mono Lake is a saline soda lake in Mono County, California. Formed at least 760,000 years ago as a terminal lake in an endorheic basin. The lack of an outlet causes high levels of salt to accumulate in the lake and makes its water very alkaline. When we get up in the air, you'll obviously see it a little bit better. We'll fly out over the lake to start with, and then start heading south into the main Yosemite National Park area. A few things worth noting: that the sim is still unstable after update 5. I know some people are having no issues at all. I've had a few crashed desktops today. I've had 2 just trying to set this sim up, so anything is possible. I nearly didn't bother, but I'd already put the Facebook notifications out, so it's a case of we're going to have to suck it and see today. So what we're going to do, we're going to take off, we'll head out over the lake. If I bring up the nav log, this is where we're roughly going to be heading. There we go. So we're going to start off here, and then Mono Lake, Mount Warren, Mount Conness, Dog Lake, Fairview Dome, Tenaya Lake, Clouds Rest, Half Dome, Yosemite Valley. El Capitan is going to be the southernmost part of the flight today, and then we're going to head back via Merced Lake, a few peaks: Johnson Peaks, Potter Point, Kuna Peak, Mammoth Peak. Notice all these ones with peaks and points are fair game that I'm going to end up crashing into them. Hopefully we'll see some black bears around this area as well, and then head off to Mount Dana, Great Grant Lake, and then that Cust A is Custom A, which is the last waypoint before we land again. It should be about 85 nautical miles, and it should be about 45 minutes, allowing for the sim to play its games like it usually does. Okay, so we get ready to take off. I've set the aircraft up. We're all up and running. The sat nav is all set up. I've got all my lights and stuff going. If there's any issue with the sound, let me know. I've tried to set the volume levels up how I had them before. But as I say, when I was setting this up, it crashed, so I had to restart everything. Luckily that was off stream. Hopefully it'll be behaving itself a little bit. So we're going to take off, heading the way we're looking now, and then we're going to do a right, head out over the lake. There's an island in the lake. We're going to do a lap round, and then we're going to head back off over the mountains down towards the main Yosemite National Park itself. So flight time should be about 45 minutes, give or take. If the sim does crash, bear with me. I'll have it back up and running within about 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, let's give ourselves a pushback. Unfortunately, this plane, as good as it is, doesn't have a reverse thrust, so I have to rely on Mr. High-Vis Jacket Man and his little toy to push me backwards. I may pause the sim at certain points as well, just so it helps me describe the places that we're flying around and near. Let's say Mono Lake is going to be the first one that we fly over, and that should be in a couple of seconds. That was good enough, thank you very much. Still the bravest people in the flight sim. Drive that into a propeller that's spinning at stupid speed. Should be clear now. This thing doesn't steer very well, so I'll give them a couple of seconds to get clear. Yeah, as I say, the sim itself after the update, latest update, isn't as stable as it normally is. I'm having to run it at a lower resolution than I'd like to, simply just to try and keep it as stable as possible. There is another update coming towards the end of the month, on the 27th or 28th I think, and hopefully that will sort out some of the issues. You may hear my vape going off every now and again. I apologise for that in advance. Right, well, we're on the runway and we're good to go. Just a quick rebrief on where we're heading. I bring up the nav log. Mono Lake's going to be the first place we hit, which is on our right hand wing, just off the side of the screen. Over this way. Then we hit Mount Warren, literally hit Mount Warren. Mount Connors, Dog Lake, Fairview Dome, Tenaya Lake. You have to apologise. I'll apologise now if I mispronounce any of these places. Cloud Rest, Half Dome, Yosemite, and El Capitan is going to be the southernmost point of the trip, at which point we come back and start heading back towards the airport. Merced Lake, Vogelsang Peak, Johnson Peak, Potter Point, Kuna Peak, Mammoth Peak, Yosemite. Hopefully we see some black bears here. I might do a few laps there just so you can see them. Mount Dana, Grant Lake, and then that Custom A is the last waypoint before we land. Should be about just under 90 nautical miles and 45 minutes. But hopefully we might be able to cut some corners on that, or we could extend it a little bit. I will be pausing the flight using active pause, which is that basically. You don't notice it now, but when I'm in the air it'll just stop the plane so I can then talk about what we're flying over. All the information I'm getting today is from wikipedia, so if it's wrong, blame them. Yeah, okay. So we'll we'll take off and then we'll head out over the lake. I've turned off air traffic control today because they're just a pain. So I haven't flown this plane in a while, and it's a little bit more skittish than the planes I do fly. Whole runway, so we might as well use it. Right, so we head off out over Mono Lake. I gave a bit of a brief description before about Mono Lake. It was formed 76,000 years ago, approximately. I'm pretty sure no one was there to see it, so that's best guess. The desert lake has an unusually productive ecosystem based on brine shrimp, which thrive in its waters and provides critical habitat for 2 million annual migrating birds that feed on the shrimp. Historically, the native... Pause. Active pause. There you go. Go back in. The native Kutzadikas people lived in the area, and they survived on the produce from the lake. The city of Los Angeles diverted the water from the freshwater streams flowing into the lake. It lowered the lake level, which basically made everything that was in the lake not as good. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. Just reading through Wiki. Los Angeles stole the water when they were building up the city, and then there was a Mono Lake committee formed in response, and they won a legal battle that forced Los Angeles to partially replenish the lake water and bring the level back up so the habitats would come back, which is good. Can't be stealing all the water. So now we're going to start heading south. The length of the lake is 21 kilometers, and its maximum width is 15 kilometers, and that gives it a rough surface area of 45,000 acres. Average depth is 57 feet, 17 meters, so it's not massively deep. So I need to pay attention. head off into this canyon a little bit and then gain some height. That was inevitable. So I don't fly this plane very often. Start again. So what I'll do this time is I'll get altitude before I start trying to head for that second waypoint. So yeah, we're restarting again. Had a bit of an issue. Not with the sim, just with my piloting ability. I've not flown this plane very often, and I forgot about the quite high stall speed on it. So we're going to head out over the lake again, and then we're going to head back over the mountains, but I'm going to get some height before I do it this time. Yeah, it's been about a week since I've been able to do a flight, simply because of the state of the sim that's it after the latest update. Bring that down a bit. 30 should be good. Let's get this set up a bit better. Light director. Navigation, altitude set, autopilot on. And what I want to do is keep vertical speed of about 500. Set it to about 12. We won't be going that high, I don't think, but 600 should do it. Right, so hopefully I should get enough height to get over these mountains without stalling out again. As I say, I've not flown this plane very often recently, so it's a little bit of a learning curve again. Do another loop round just to make sure I have got enough height. Yeah, I'm used to the old the little cubs, and the stall speed's a lot lower on those. Yeah, she's climbing nicely now. It's a better view of the lake anyway. So we're just trying to climb up now, just get to height so I can get over the top of that ridge line. I think that was actually this is actually the first time I've crashed this plane. Definitely on stream. I've crashed all the others multiple times, but this one I think is the first time. Should be good now. Yeah, I reckon we'll clear it by a couple of feet. Veto heat on. Yeah. I tried going down that canyon on the right hand side the first time and then turn into this little, went down here and then turned into this little bit, thinking I could use the ground effect to kind of bring myself up this way, but ran out of speed and talent rather quickly. This is Mount Warren. We are currently almost 12,000 feet, so that's quite a high peak. It's Mount Conness is next, and then we head down to Dog Lake. Getting a little bit of turbulence going over these mountains. So the little points you can see are the points of interest. Going down this way, we'll hit this one and then we'll turn left, I think, if I remember rightly. We'll head down into a little bit of valley and then down into the main Yosemite Valley down here. It's a nice day for flying anyway. Level off the altitude there, I think. Yeah, we're going to hit this point and then do a left. So we have leveled off at 12,000, call it 13,000 feet, give or take. Just going over Mount Conness. Yeah, you can tell if you're watching it on a TV, you can tell by the edges of the wings that I'm having to run it at a lower resolution than I like to. Anything above 100% resolution. I normally upscale it to about 150, 200 being 4K. I upscale it to about 150, but after the latest update, it's completely knackered it. If you go above 100, it pixelates the cloud layers. It doesn't look very nice. So it's sat at 1080p, hence why it's a little bit grainy, so I apologise for that. It's Dog Lake. Dog Lake is a lake in Yosemite National Park. It's shallow but very cold, which is good for water sports. It is near Dog Dome, is north of Lambert Dome and south of Ragged Peak. So all this information is available on Wikipedia. Trying to think why they would call it Dog Lake. Doesn't mention anything. Literally, the Wikipedia is about 2 lines. So, yeah, certainly very nice. What's next? Fairview Dome. This is a test of my typing skills, this is. Tenaya Lake. Trying to find Wikipedia information. Pause there. So a lot of the stuff formed in this area is due to glacial action, which pretty much removed everything apart from the granite. So a lot of these mountains and peaks and stuff you're seeing are solid granite. Clouds Rest. Right, I'm just going to pause it there because we're starting to head into the main valley now. Clouds Rest is a mountain in Yosemite National Park. Although there are many peaks in the park having far greater elevation, Clouds Rest's proximity to the valley gives a very high degree of visual prominence. Makes sense. 3,000 meters tall. There's pictures of people actually hiking up it, which is quite interesting. You can get right up to the top of it. Tell you what I will do while it's paused. Hopefully this won't crash the sim, but we're going to have a play with the weather. Turn live weather off. We're going to set some cloud levels and see if anything. So it's scattered again. It's a high layer, a low layer. Just wanted to see if I could set the give it a bit of a misty look. Nope, that's rubbish. It's kind of a low level valley fog. We'll set that back to live weather. The time isn't live obviously because it's the middle of the night over there. And doing sightseeing tours is always better at daytime. So that's Cloud Rest, and we should be hooking a right in a minute and heading down over the valley. Just double check. Yeah. What I might do is have a dive down into the valley. So that point here is going to be the point we turn and then start making our way back north. Might alter the time of day just to give it a bit of a better look. I think that's about better there. And that's Half Dome. That's a big climbing attraction. It's that high it swallows the words in the point of interest. Half Dome, if I pause again quick. Half Dome, that one there, is a granite dome at the eastern end of Yosemite Valley. It is a well-known rock formation in the park, named for its distinct shape. One side of it is a sheer face, while the other three sides are smooth and round, making it appear like a half-cut dome. Fair enough, you can see it there. That's obviously the sheer face there. Lots of people climb it. The elevation of it is 2,700 meters, give or take. It was first climbed by George G. Anderson, part of the Sierra Nevada range. So people have been climbing that for a fair number of years. It's claimed 13 lives since 2005. Obviously people trying to climb it. It is a sheer face as well. Cool climbing. It's not for the faint of heart, is it? In fact, what I'll do is I'll come off of autopilot and fly around it. Just descend a little bit first. So I don't need to be this high again until we're on our way back to the next point of interest down there. That next one is the village. That's the valley, and then further down is the village. Yeah, that's getting a big nope from me. It's not going on any list for me to climb that. So we shall carry on to a little bit further down the valley. And fly and type at the same time. Yosemite Valley is a glacial valley in the Yosemite National Park, obviously. The valley is 7.5 miles long and approximately 3 to 3,500 feet deep. Surrounded by high granite summits such as Half Dome and El Capitan. And densely forested with pines. It's a shame they haven't got a little airport down in the valley actually. That'd be quite nice to try and land there. I'm just trying to lose some height without ripping the wings off. So one thing I don't like is valley flying very much in this. So we're coming up on El Capitan now, which is the southernmost point of the trip. El Capitan is a vertical rock formation located at the north side of Yosemite Valley, near its western end. The granite monolith is about 3,000 feet from base to summit, along its tallest face, and is popular objective for rock climbers. No crap. Look at that. That's a long way down. And you'll be hitting most of the mountain on the way down as well, because it's got a weird shape to it. That's mental. Right, we'll give it some beans and we'll get back out of this valley, and then I'll re-engage the autopilot, and then we can head up on the last legs back up to the airport. So it's not going to be a massively long flight today. I've been thinking of stuff to do all week, but the sim in the state it's in, it's not really worth trying to plan anything really until the end of the month when they drop the next major update. And try and fix a lot of these crashes. Not so much crashing the planes, rather crashing the actual sim to desktop. Yeah, I think the general consensus is they made a big balls up with the update, and a lot of people are having issues, me included. Not so much as everyone else, but it's just niggly little bugs where if you're streaming it, I don't know whether you noticed, but mountain back there was actually floating above where it should be, which it wasn't before the update. So the geometry of the terrain is slightly altered, which isn't good. So we'll re-engage easy mode. take me back onto route. Don't know why that's trying to climb at that speed. That's the stall warning. Trim issues again. Yeah, I don't know why every now and again the when in manual flight the trim trim sets itself to maximum, so it ends up nose up. Which isn't good and isn't conducive to forward flight, to be fair. And that needs fixing. Let's add it to the list. So we are 8,800 feet. Let the speed increase a little bit. So wang the altitude back up to about 12,000-ish. There we go. And vertical speed on 500 should be enough. Yeah, this these two displays they've updated, which is a little bit better than they were. New display here, new visual. I can put a map in here now, which is quite handy. I can put a map there, leave it in there. It's quite cool. A lot of the bits and pieces aren't working yet, but it's still a work in progress. So that's heading back on the GPS route now. El Capitan. I seem to remember watching a documentary on the guy that actually summited that the first time. I might be wrong, it might be somewhere else, but it was quite an interesting documentary. Climbing I've never been good at. I get about 5 foot off the ground and everything locks up because it doesn't like I don't know whether you just saw it, but the bottom half of that mountain just appeared. So half dome is now the full half dome, which is nice. It's actually connected to the ground a little bit better than it was about 2 minutes ago. Let's try and have a look, see which way it's going to take me now. Yeah, it's going to hit the GPS and then go off to the right. We may not be able to get low enough to see any bears today, because this plane is a little bit... You've got the bush planes, which are the ones that can land pretty much anywhere, only require a short landing and takeoff run. This plane it falls in between the kind of normal everyday flying around plane and a bush plane, and you probably wouldn't want to put this one into any kind of tight areas. Cubs and the other ones, no problem at all. I'd fly them into anything pretty much, but not this one. So maybe next time, the next flight I do, if it's this kind of length of flight, I will use the little Cubs or maybe a small Cessna, which is a slightly different flight characteristic than this one. High wing as opposed to a low wing. Sinner's already pancaked this one once today. I'm not going to take any chances. And if you can hear my chair squeaking, I'm very sorry. I will lubricate it. So we're on the last stretch from the southernmost point back up to the airfield now. A couple of lakes and a few peaks to go. I didn't actually realise that these points were quite close together. I thought I might have a little bit of more time to actually Google stuff. But we'll deal with it. This is actually an artificial freshwater lake. Approximately 5 miles east of Merced, California, in the rolling Sierra foothills. Its length is just under 1.5 kilometers, and it's only 60 meters deep. Let's see. I expect it's been built to feed some places. Used for sailing, boating. Ooh. One moment. Pause. So I'm using Wikipedia for information about flights and places I'm flying over. And I'm just going over this lake here, Merced Lake, and alleged paranormal activity just popped up on the Wikipedia. So it says the lake's tower is said to be haunted by the Lady of the Lake. According to horror stories, the ghost has long flowing white hair and wears a long white gown. She is said to walk around the tower, catwalk, and on the lake's surface, looking for her lost child or lover. The ghost has also been reported to walk along the old lake road, occasionally stepping into the path of oncoming traffic. Well, that's not good, is it? Doesn't show the tower. It's a shame. I'll look at the time of day again just to see if it picks up any. What's the weather? Wrong one. Not showing the tower there, which is a shame. Never mind. Onward. Yeah, it's the first time anything paranormal has been popping up on Wiki for me. Actually quote sources as well. Dear me. Let's put the sun behind us. Look a little bit better. Yeah, you can tell it's very pixelated in a minute. So since the last update I've not been able to run it how I like. There is issues with the sim, but I haven't been able to find another decent game worth streaming other than the Lunar Rover mechanic one. I've got a couple of other games, but some of them are not worth live streaming. Vogelsang Peak. So this whole area of Yosemite is glacial formed over millions and millions of years. There was a big glacier over the top of it. I think they said it was like 2 miles deep in some places, and when it all cluttered off, it carved the terrain over its time there. And what's left is the hard granite that it didn't take away with it in the meltwater. So where are we heading now? Johnson Peak. A couple of lakes in between. And I think we do a right in a minute, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we do a bit of a loop. And then off up. There's Johnson Peak there. We should turn before that and then head up. The range on this. Yeah, I did a bit of, I put a bit of an S-bend in it because I wanted to hit a few of these interesting points on the way back, and that's the last one, and that's the airfield just here. So it's not far to go now. So I'm looking to do other places around the world, kind of little trips like this, just kind of showing off a few bits and pieces, and then using Wikipedia as kind of a information point. But if anyone's got any ideas of where they'd like to see, I might do the Grand Canyon. But this, I mean, I probably won't be streaming this again now until after the update, because I had two crashes to desktop while I was trying to set up this flight, and it's just not. It's not at the point where visually I like streaming it. It's a little bit below. It's not as good as it should be. It's not certainly not as good as some of the earlier videos. I mean, what I'll do is I'll just quickly set it to. I'm having to run a lot of stuff on high as opposed to ultra, but I'll put it up to ultra. Bring these back to 150. See, I mean, this is where these are the settings that I normally run it on. If I can bring that up to there. That's off. Lens correction was on. Bloom was off. What I normally do is have this set to 150, which is scaling the resolution up to 2880 by 1620. My monitor that I'm running it on is only 1080p, but this scale it up so it makes the graphics look a lot better for streaming. So we apply that, resume. You can tell hopefully already, depending on what you're watching it on, that looks a lot better already. Another bug as well is it kicks the engine out, which is not good. Come on. Waiting for the engine to pick back up again. It's not good. We've lost engine. What's going on? Throttle, prop pitch, fuel mix. Control. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Christ. Completely lost engine power. Come on, get over them trees. Hopefully go between those two trees. No. See, that's another one of the flipping bugs in this sim. Go back to main menu and I use the cub. If you exit the menu and go back in, it plays havoc with stuff. So we'll just change the aircraft to so that's twice I've pancaked it now in this stream. This is why I'm going to wait a little bit for it to sort its life out. So where were we? We were between Johnson's Peak and here, weren't we? So set that as a departure. That's going to be the arrival. And we'll set these as waypoints. Yeah. And we're going to use a slightly smaller plane this time. It's a little bit, this one's a little bit more what I'm used to. So hopefully I won't pancake this one. So yeah, it doesn't take long to get back into the sim. It's just annoying that it keeps crashing out or generating issues where I have to try and do an emergency landing into the side of a mountain. There we go. So yeah, anyway, we're set at I'm losing the engine on this one. Something's not right here. Fuel pump is on. I'm lost my throttle. That isn't clever. Pause a minute. Escape. That's what's happened. It's binned my throttle. Set that back to high end. Bring them up to 150. Set that back to that. Yeah, as soon as you try and set anything other than that's one controls. Anything other than Billy Basic, it starts having issues. See, that's reading fine. That's my throttle axis there. That's reading fine. These two are the view axis. What's this one? That's rudder. That's fine. Done. Zoom. See, it's reading throttle, reading prop, and reading. There we go. It's alright, it's me being a maroon. So we go here. Flight director. Altitude select. And then nav. That should hopefully not fly me into a mountain. It's a little bit better. Check the map. So we're slowly getting back on track now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to need some more altitude. Probably a little bit higher than this plane's good for. So I'm going to go low and slow and head for that gap over there. In fact, I should have picked the aircraft with the skis, to be honest. After the update 5, they added a version of this plane with skis and floats, which is quite cool. It's always nice to have an option. Yeah, if worst comes to worst, I could always land it and drive it over the top and then take off again. But we should have enough to get over here. Be a close one there. So yeah. I do like this plane. This is probably, I'd say it's probably my second favourite plane in the sim, under the DC-6, because you can go low and slow with this one. You can have some fun with it as well. I think if I actually ever pass my private pilot's license and get a plane, it would probably be something ultralight like this. Certainly won't be anything bigger than a Cessna. Small Cessna, I should say, not the big G1000s. Probably a 172, I think, or a 152, I think, the smaller one. Although these retail at about 30 to 50 grand, I think, new. So if anyone wants to sub me some money, I'll let you have a go in it, honest. There's Kuna Peak off to our left. Because this plane doesn't climb very well at this altitude, I'm kind of buzzing round the peaks, roughly following the GPS course, which is why I chose the Bonanza, to be fair, because it was a little bit better at altitude. This isn't bad, it's just it's not really designed for miles up, if you know what I mean. Also, it doesn't like the turbulence very much of going over these peaks. Yeah, that should be one of the last sets of peaks we have to cross. It's the lake again where we started. That's Grant Lake to our right, and then on our nose, or as our looking directly ahead, that's the Mono Lake that we started off near. Kuna Peak. Certainly a very lovely area. Right, turn Yeah, and I quite like this because you get quite a good panoramic view on it as well. It's a high wing, so I can see down, whereas the Bonanza had a low wing, and it's kind of you lose all of this. So set this back up to. Yeah, I'm having to run it quite low at the minute. Not that low, Chris. Set that to 150. I can show you what it does after a while. In fact, that needs to be 200 as well. Yeah, there's bugs, and then there's workarounds for the bugs and all sorts of stuff. And hopefully at the end of the month they'll end up fixing it. Be nice. I actually tried running it on my 4K TV the other day, and it ran it actually better than I anticipated. I didn't think it'd cope with it at all, but the graphics card is a bit of a beast on this. It's a 2080 Ti, so it's not the newest, but it's definitely no slouch. So the runway is off to our 11 o'clock. Got Dog Lake below us, I think. Is it Dog Lake? No. It's on the way out. Grant Lake, that's it. That's nicer. Yeah, there's certain times of day when all this kind of comes together and it looks absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. They've had issues with the volumetric lighting as well, so it's kind of knackered the clouds a little bit, and a lot of other colours look desaturated and not very nice. So hopefully they'll fix it soon, because I was really enjoying playing this and live streaming it. That kind of went south after that latest update, but because it's a live service game, I can't do anything other than update it to play it. It's not like the older games where you didn't have to update it to play it. You could play it on an older version, but this one, unfortunately, because it's connected to the internet all the time, you have to have it fully updated to what they think is the best spec of running it. Obviously they've had issues this time round, but they're slowly sorting them. Let's drop us some flaps. Don't seem to have any trim control, which is a shame. It's a little bit better now. So I'm going to just let it coast in. I'm on pretty much idle throttle now. Just coasting her in with the first notch of flap set. We are 2,000 feet per minute in a downward trajectory. A little bit of a rock with wings on. I'll put the second stage flaps in now. I'm not the greatest at landing tricycle aircraft, tail draggers. I prefer like the Cessnas. Sorry, I prefer the Cessnas with the tricycle rather than the tail draggers like this one. The good thing is this thing can go in low and slow. It's a slight headwind. A bit bouncy. Bit better. Got to be careful with the brakes or she'll nose over. Yeah, you can tell it's a week since I've been playing this. A bit rusty, but there we go, we're down. Back where we started, in a different plane. 3 lives later. So yeah, hopefully the next stream, although it'd be probably more towards the end of the month of this game anyway, I'll be able to run it at full graphic fidelity again. It would have sorted out a lot of these bugs so we can start doing some more long distance stuff. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the flight. Sorry about the crashing. That was more my fault than the sim, to be fair, although I did lose throttle at one point. But yeah, I should be practicing a little bit more, getting back used to the sim again. But I probably won't be live streaming it until the end of the month, until they sort it. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Probably with